Welcome Technology Unknown, I'm Ryan, and today we're going to be expanding on what we did in our last video where we took a drive and expanded the partition from split into two partitions to expanding, take up the whole drive. Now in this case, what we're going to do is effectively the same thing, but what's the difference is what we did in the last video, if you had data on the drive that mattered, chances are your data was going to be safe, everything was fine, and we went through two methods of expanding the drive. In this case, we're going to say, you know what, the data doesn't matter, we backed it up, or it's not important, and we just want to clear these partitions. We don't want to save anything. And the way that I actually found out about this method a few years ago was I had a thumb drive that I had made a Linux boot drive for, and when I went to go use the thumb drive again after I was done, I couldn't get to the full size of the drive. I'd format it and it would just be a tiny amount of storage compared to what the drive actually had. Let's jump right into it and show you what's going on. So a couple of methods here. Let's go into disk management. So I'm just going to say disk management right here. And you'll see I did very much like last time here, went ahead and created a couple of drives in a couple different ways. So two 40 gig drives, and each one of these, the formatting itself doesn't matter in terms of one being NTFS and the other being FAT32 or exFAT more realistically, but just shows you two different ways to accomplish the same thing. So first, the easy way. Let's say that you do not care about the data on this drive. You just want to wipe everything out, start fresh. The easy way, as you can see, we've got two partitions here. In the active partition, the one you can actually see, just right click on that and just delete the volume and say yes. And now you have the whole drive available to you. You can come in here, right click, new simple volume, hit next, just keep hitting next. Name this what you want. Some drive, if you want to. If you want to change the formatting, you certainly can. Just go ahead and hit next, finish, and there you go. If it is an external drive, it's better to go with exFAT than it is to go with NTFS. It's more universal. And you have, there you go, 40 gigs on this particular drive. But how about if that doesn't work? Kind of like I ran into with the thumb drive that I had for what was a Linux boot drive, but I want to turn back into just being a regular USB drive. Well, there is a more advanced way to do this. And what we're going to do, go to Start menu, and we're just going to type CMD, and we're going to run this as administrator. It's going to ask you to confirm, so you'll say yes. And this is why I don't jump right to this one. You do this from the command line. Now I am going to see if I can zoom this in a bit, make this a little bit more readable. Let's just keep going. Let's make this really nice and readable for us. Here we go. Much nicer. Still resizing. Awesome. So I try to stay away from the command line when it comes to showing people things, just because it can be a little intimidating or a little bit more difficult for people. But this is going to be very, very straightforward for us. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to launch a program that's built into Windows. Every version of Windows, for as far back as I can remember, I couldn't even tell you how long it's been around. It's been around a long time. I guess I could look it up and find out, but I'm not going to. So we'll just go ahead and say diskpart, one word, DISKPART. Hit enter, and that's going to launch you into diskpart. Now, what's really cool here, I could say help, and it's going to give me a bunch of instructions of things I can do with diskpart. And that's great. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to just get right down here. And we're going to say list disk. Okay. Now all this is going to do is going to give me a result of what my options are. Let's go ahead and hit enter. And we have disk 0, which is our boot drive. That's that nice 80 gig drive. We have disk 1, which is what we just deleted that extra partition from. If we go back over here, you'll notice these match. Disk 0, disk 1. So here we have disk 2. And when we look at disk 2, we can see its size is 40 gigs. but only has 19 gigs free. And if we look back over here to disk management, you can see we've got 20 gigs eaten up by this partition and 19.98 gigs available unallocated. And that's really what it's telling us right here. This is unallocated space. So we want to go ahead and select that. We want to get rid of all the data there. And for some reason, when we go to delete, it just won't be there. And it's possible. This is really, really hard to duplicate when you're not doing it with the drive having the problem. It is actually possible that right here in disk management, you might not even see the full drive. But when you do disk part, you probably will. So what we're going to do is we're going to select disk 2 so that we can start working on it. So I'm just going to say select disk 2. That's it. Hit enter. And we are now working on disk 2. At this point, the next thing we're going to do would destroy any data that is on that disk. Make sure, if you have data that matters to you, it is backed up. It will be gone once we do this next step. We're going to type one word. That word is clean. And we're going to hit enter. Now this goes very, very quickly, as you can see. But now, if I say list disk, you're going to see, look at that, 40 gigs free. That is completely cleared. Now, for the sake of making life easy, which I like to do, we're going to go back to our graphical interface here. And you'll see, here's disk 2, but it's got this little red indicator here, and it's unknown. Well, if we right-click on here, you can select Initialize Disk, or I'm going to close disk management. I'm going to reopen it. And it's immediately saying, hey, you need to initialize this disk before we can use it. So right-click and select Initialize, or just relaunch disk management. It'll tell you this. Stick with GPT as far as your type. GPT is the most current version of a file structure. Hit OK. And if we scroll down here, there's our full unallocated disk. Notice there are no additional partitions, nothing. It's been completely cleared. We can right-click on it, create a new simple volume. Once again, we're just going to hit next through the process. There we go. Let's set this one to exFAT like we would for any external drive. Next, finish, and it's done. This is now fully available to us. Hopefully that makes things easy on you. That gets things exactly as you hope to see them. If you have any questions, comments, ideas, anything you want to say, go ahead and put that in the comments below. Beyond that, you have an awesome day.